Hi, and welcome to our second objective here in chapter 30. And what we're going to look at in this particular chapter is we're going to work a little bit with that quantity theory of money graph. And so let me go ahead and share my screen with you. So we're going to explain and illustrate the effects of a monetary injection. So what is a monetary injection? Remember, that's the Fed increasing the money supply. Fed can increase the money supply using several things. They can sell U.S. Treasury bonds. So that's actually backwards. They can buy U.S. Treasury bonds. They can also decrease the required reserve ratio, and they can also decrease the discount rate. So here's our first slide. And we're going to start this slide. We'll want to label everything. So again, just to kind of make sure that you understand. So this is the value of $1. Okay, so $1 equals $1. $1 equals 75 cents or 3/4 of a dollar. $1 equals a half a dollar or 50 cents. And $1 equals 25 cents. Oops, sorry, one equals 25 cents or 1/4. See if I can get this right here. Okay, 1/4. Okay, so the value of the dollar is equal to 1 over the price level. So over here, we're going to put the price level, what's happening to prices. So 1 over 1 is 1. Okay. 3/4 would be 1.33. And the corresponding would be 2 and 4. And I should actually erase the $2 thing because it's actually a price level has doubled. Excuse me. Okay, so as we looked at in our first objective, this is the money supply. Again, perfectly inelastic. So this is the supply of money and this is the amount of money demanded. Okay, so right now, our economy, where we're at in terms of the value of $1. Here, the value of $1, we're going to say is equal to 1/2, because I'm just going to make that up here to make it easy. So right now, if you go to the dollar store, it would actually take you twice as many. This is how I know, right? So the 2 would be here, for example, twice as many dollars. So the price level's doubled because your dollar's only buying half as much, right? So the value of $1 is 1/2 and the price level has doubled. Okay, so if the Fed doubles the money supply, so how might the Fed double the money supply? And again, open market operations is probably the reason why they would do that. So they would, excuse me, use the open market purchase, and they would purchase bonds, okay? As they purchase bonds, they're increasing the money supply. So let's see what happens when they increase the money supply after we're here. So what would happen is the money supply is going to shift outward and to the right, which is an increase. Okay, so we'll say money supply 1. Where does the money supply and the demand for money crisscross? It's at a lower value of money. So let's see, maybe 1/3. 3. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that we were here on the red dot, and now we're moving to the green dot. So basically what we have is that as the Fed increases the money supply, okay, so I'm just going to do it in here. As the Fed increases the money supply, what happened over here to the value of money? Well, the value of money went down, didn't it? So we can say that we have a decrease in the value of $1. Okay, what happened to the price level over here? The price level increased, increasing prices. So the supply curve, because that's the money supply, shifted to the right. So there's step one. Step two is the value of $1 decreases. Step three is the price level increases. So that's kind of showing you what happens in terms of a monetary injection. Much nicer graph listed here. They use the money demand as actual representation because they have some curve here, which is, this is more realistic, but this walks through the exact steps. Again, the Fed increases the money supply. How can they do that? By purchasing bonds, right? Or they could do that by decreasing the discount rate, decreasing the required reserve ratio. Okay, then what happens? It decreases the value of money, step two over here. And then what do we end up with? Step three. Also, if you want to think beyond that, now that the price level has increased, so prices are increasing, the value of money is decreasing, do you really want to hold money in its most liquid form at this point? Yes, the demand for money has increased. Why has it increased? Because the price level is going up. It's causing you more physical dollars, right, to buy the same amount of goods and services. But would you really want to hold money in its most liquid form? We're going to look at that in some upcoming objectives. Oops, sorry. So the quantity theory of money says that the amount of money in the money supply determines prices because they're directly linked. Remember that inverse relationship between the value of money and the price level, which is also, again, as we've talked about, the CPI. Growth rate and the quantity of money determines the inflation rate. So if we increase the money supply and continue to increase the money supply, maybe a lot, what's going to happen to inflation? Inflation's going to increase a lot. There's a direct correlation there. Okay. So if we have an excess supply of money, too much money in the money supply. Okay, so too much. There'll be an increase in demand for goods and services. Why? Because essentially, if you take a dollar bill, all right, what essentially is happening to that $1 bill is it's being eroded in value. So as we saw just a moment ago, first we started with a $1, only bought half as much. We increased the money supply. When we increase the money supply, what happens now is the value of $1 is now only worth this much, right? So this becomes the value. So it's like eroding the amount of liquidity, eroding the amount, decreasing the value of dollars that we're walking around with. Okay, what I often do is I take a copy of a dollar bill, which I don't have here at home, but I say, if you think of a dollar bill like a piece of paper, right? So here's a piece of paper. And essentially what's happening in inflation is your dollar bill is only buying, it's not buying as much. So it takes you more physical dollars to buy the same amount of goods and services. So wouldn't you want to protect this? If the money supply continues to increase, it continues to rip some of that value away. So how do you protect the value of what you have? And this is what happens, and why I wanted to do that for you is because I wanted to explain then there's an increase in the demand for goods and services, because in some ways people want to protect the money that they have. So there's an increase. Whoops, sorry. There's an increase, and now get excited because we're almost done. There's an increase in the demand for goods and services. Okay. Now, those goods might be capital goods, right? So the price of goods and services starts to increase. We call this demand pull inflation. That then increases the price level. Now, why would the price of goods and services increase when there's an increase in demand? This is important. So the reason for this is because the supply of goods and services is limited, right? We only have so much goods and services made. So when the demand increases for those goods and services, that puts an upward pressure on prices because we have a shortage of goods and services. Okay, this is where micro and macro kind of marry each other. So there's an increase in the price level, right? So now the price level's going up, which means the value of dollars is going down. It's going to take you more money to buy the same amount of goods and services. This is why we can say there's an increase in quantity demanded, because now you're going to need 3 times as many dollars to buy the same amount. And that's what brings us back to the new equilibrium. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, I'm happy to walk it through for you again.